Can I start?
All right, we are live now. Welcome everybody to round of 16 for the Lions division of the Behes Gender Flagship round. We welcome you to this round of the debate. May I now invite the first speaker from the proposition to open the debate for us.
Good morning, one and all present here. Today, I, Harleen Kaur from the team Never Gonna Get It, would be speaking in favor of the motion tabled before us. That is, that the advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters. But before coming to my actual argumentation, I would like to define a few terms in this debate. What is advertising industry? The advertising industry is made up of companies that advertise, agencies that create the advertisements, media that carries the ads, and a host of people like copywriters, visuals, brand managers, researchers, creative heads, and designers who take it the last mile to the customer or receiver. What is a copywriter? A copywriter is a person who writes advertising or promotional material. When we say non-male, we do include LGBTQ community as well as women. I, the first speaker, would be talking about why advertising industry is male dominated and why do we actually need non-male copywriters. First, why the advertising industry is male dominated. The first reason for this is that females are paid less than males. The Pro Copywriters survey revealed a 28% pay gap between men and women. Female freelancers earn 22% less. Female agency writers earn 33% less. Female client-side writers earn 9% less. That's probably the reason why advertising industry is male-dominated. The second reason is that people prefer male copywriters over non-male copywriters. This is not fair. The moment we suddenly realize that the author's sex, our judgment becomes biased somewhat. Many people still cling to believe that men are better than women copywriters. We as team proposition strongly believe that advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters. Now, why should we actually have non-male copywriters? First, non-male entrepreneurs have better decision-making abilities, linguistic communication skills, and are highly opinionated, which is of utmost importance in the advertising industry. The second reason is that non-male copywriters help bring uniqueness, creativity, and originality. The third reason is that it helps in bringing thoughts from wide areas. This will actually help the advertising industry. We are not forcing non-male people to join the advertising industry. We are just saying that advertising industry needs non-male copywriters. This will lead to balance in gender in the advertising industry, and there will be gender equality because these ads reach hundreds and thousands of people around the globe. With this, I would like to rest my case, and I believe that this motion must stand.
Thank you, Harleen, for laying out the context of the debate for us. We shall now wait a minute before we move on to the first speaker of the opposition. times. May I now call upon the first speaker of the opposition to carry forward the debate for us?
Thank you. Greetings, one and all present here. My name is Meg from Team Opposition. The motion before us today is that the advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters, and I stand strongly against it. The advertising industry is the global industry of public relation and marketing companies, media services, and advertising agencies, whereas copywriting is the act or occupation of writing text for the purpose of advertising or other forms of marketing. Now that we have that labeled out, what we understand by the motion is that advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters, which includes every gender, females, gender fluids, and those who identify themselves as intersex. In turn, oppressing men. I'd like to lay before you the statistic that right now, in the advertising industry, the male copywriters are 45%, whereas female are 51%. If we go ahead with this motion, it would just result in the male copywriters, the percentage going even below. The year was 1971. The Hotshot Airlines National, now known as Pan Am, was a prestigious account for the ad agency. One of the agency's top copywriters was assigned to National. The first ad itself was bold. It showed an air hostess named Cheryl. The headline was simple. It said, "I am Cheryl, fly me." The rapidly sexist ad made it past the creative director, the account supervisor, the account director, and on the client side, the product manager, the chief marketing officer, and even the sales director to become a long-running campaign featuring several real air hostesses. Even a protest by Now did little to diminish its glory. It went on to win awards for having driven maximum sales. When the winning copywriter walked up to the stage, there was a collective gasp from the audience. The copywriter was a girl. The year was 2020. Today, COVID-19 has descended upon us and multivarious challenges are manifesting in its wake. One among them is the excruciating problem of domestic violence. 95% of the perpetrators are adult men. The pressure cooker environment, lack of psychiatric support is creating an unprecedented volume of calls to abuse counseling centers. An NGO joined hands with an industry body and decided to do something about it. They came out with an ad that urges men to wash dishes, cook, and among other things, beat the virus to pulp, not your wife. Social media platform Twitter went all agog with statements such as, "This must be written by a bachelor male," and how insensitive and callous he must be to have even thought of such words. And then it turned out that the copy was written by a woman. Oftentimes, when we counsel organizations to develop a diverse and inclusive mindset, we find that women seem to have a get out of jail free card when it comes to stereotyping. Sandhya, who works as a designer for a leading brand, said, "I am likely to believe that a woman is more empathetic, less biased, and more inclusive simply because she is at the receiving end of these things far more than a male." Rumi, a project manager at IT Solutions Company, said, "I will ask both men and women for their views about a project allocation, but I'm likely to believe that men will be more judgmental. Not only are men at the receiving end of unfair assumptions, they also seem to err on the other side of caution." A copywriter said, "If there's a creative that seems slightly risk, I will do the safest thing. Ask a woman colleague if it's vulgar. After all, if she says it's not, then it can't be right." There is a need for debiasing. Presumptions such as these necessitate sessions on debiasing and on the difference between identity diversity and cognitive diversity. Because even though women are definitely subject to greater stereotyping than men, they are by no means genetically wired to be bias free. Biases are of two varieties, the conscious and the unconscious. In case of biases of the latter kind, the individual demonstrate what is referred to as unconscious incompetence, the act of not only holding a prejudiced belief or attitude, but more importantly, being aware that she is afflicted with them. Biases are both learned and assimilated. Several biases manifest themselves in such innocent, non-malicious ways that one doesn't even stop to think that they're very detrimental to one's own progress and that of the cause that you represent. With this motion, we believe that we do not need more non-male copywriters. We should not base the choice of copywriters on their gender. The first speaker said that if the audience prefers more male copywriters, well, why not give the audience, the customers, what they want? If they want more male copywriters, they will get more male copywriters. Copywriters, they should be chosen on the basis of their talent. And if the statistics say that yes, male copywriters are more talented, then that's exactly what the customers shall get. That's exactly what the audience shall get. With that, I believe that this motion shall fall. We are good with the copywriter ratio we have right now, and that it should not be taken forth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mehak, for opening the case of the opposition. We shall now wait a minute again before we move on to the second speaker of the proposition. May I now call upon the second speaker of the proposition to carry the case for us?
All right, I'm audible, right?
Yes, Atharv, you are.
All right. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The motion table for us states that advertising industry needs more male copywriters. Now, as said by my first speaker, non-male include LGBTQ plus members too. Indian LGBT citizens still face certain social and legal difficulties not experienced by non-LGBT persons. Now, this still implies in the advertising industry. This still implies in the whole world. The country has repelled its colonial era laws that directly discriminated against homosexual and transgender identities, and also explicitly interpreted Article 15 of Constitution to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, this isn't only happening in India, as I said, it happens all around the world. LGBTQ members being discriminated is still a normal thing. When LGBTQ members have been a part of an advertising industry, or when LGBTQ members have been working or have not being discriminated against in such industries, that is when we know that this society isn't a male dominated or female dominated society. This society is what we call equal. Now, unfortunately, many gay and transgender workers receive unequal pay for equal work in the world. What's worse, these same workers lack the necessary legal protection currently afforded to other categories of individuals that would help combat and correct pay inequities that exist on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. The Williams Institute finds that gay and bisexual men earn 10% to 32% less than similarly qualified heterosexual men. Now, this isn't just in a certain industry. As I said, this is in all of the industry. Same goes for the advertising industry. And that is why such genders or LGBTQ plus members for this reason don't work in such industries, because it is a male dominated one. It is an industry that more male workers work. Now, in a meta-analysis of 12 studies examining earnings and sexual orientation in the world, this is true even when controlling for education, race, occupation, and years of work experience, explaining why they don't join the industry, as I just said. Now, I would like to clear up something for the House. We are not forcing women or LGBTQ members to join the industry. We just imply that there should be more non-male members in the industry so there are equal opportunities for everyone. Now, As I said, this industry is a man-dominated society. Let's take an example. Dave is a man. He's a good copywriter. He has been working 3 years under his belt. When a prospective client rings or emails and asks for his day rate, without hesitation, Dave says $400. And Dave easily gets hired. Now meet Diana. Diana is a woman. She's a fantastic copywriter. She has 20 plus years of experience under her belt. When a prospective client rings or emails her for her day rate, Diana hesitates and then says $300. And Diana gets hired. This is why women don't become a copywriter. That's why women and LGBTQ plus members don't go into the industry because of such instances. With this, I rest my case and strongly stand by the motion.
Thank you, Athar, for taking the case forward for us. We shall now wait a minute before we move on to the second speaker of the opposition. May I now call upon the second speaker of the opposition?
Am I audible?
Yes, you're perfectly audible.
Ma'am, please tell me whenever I should start.
Please begin whenever you're ready.
Just imagine you're a man who needs to go to a job interview for an advertising company. Your female best friend is also going with you. In the job interview, you give your best, but still your female best friend gets selected and you don't, even though you deserve it more. On top of that, you desperately needed that money because you had loans pending. So what happens now is that you face pressure from all sides. Your bank is calling you for loans. Your family is mistreating you because obviously you are unemployed. And your friends are giving you sympathy. They are feeling sorry for you. The pressure inside that pressure cooker keeps building up. And you think that it's easier to just give up than to face all your problems. And hence you commit suicide. A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm the Nishad from team LO18, and today I totally stand against the motion that the advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters. The very first argument that I would like to give is that males are undermined by females. And that's because in the early 21st century, that is between the 2000 and 2010, people believed that females are more creative than men. That's why they started employing more females than men. And as the first speaker also mentioned the statistic that today, that is the 2021, we have more females. That is 54.5% females in the advertising industry and 45.5% males in the advertising industry. Which also regards the fact stated by the first speaker that the advertising industry is male dominated. Also, the first speaker talked about the fact that men are being given more money than the females. I would like to say that this particular argument is just like a donut. Highly decorated from outside, yet entirely hollow from inside. Let me just tell you, if we look at it very logically, we will come to know that the men were employed earlier, but the times have changed. Females are being employed more. And if we look at a business company, whenever you are there for a certain period of time that is long enough, you will get paid more, right? This obviously contradicts all your points. Also, I would like to say that the opponents are living in a bubble where they feel that feminism means that women should be promoted more. But let me just tell you that the objective of the feminist movement was to promote equality amongst men and women and not just simply give more preferences to female. So this also contradicts all your arguments. Also, I would like to say that if we have a industry that's not male, that's female dominated, the voice of the male will get undermined. Let me just give you a very random example. This shirt that I'm wearing right now, it's a unisex shirt. But for example, if you see a ad in the TV that a woman is wearing it, and then I wear it to some party, obviously everybody will point me out by saying that this is a female clothes, these are females' clothes, and not unisex. And that's because only one side of the coin is being argumented. In the end, I would only like to give a solution that instead of recruiting people on the basis of their gender, we should recruit people on the basis of their ability. This will obviously help the advertising industry be more successful. Also, I would like to give a burden to my opponents. You feel that you gave examples and you stated your points and said that there should be equality amongst men and women, which we can coin as feminism. So let me just ask you, doesn't it go against your idols to actually come up and say that men should not be given the equal rights as women and men should not be recruited? In the end, I would only like to say that gender equality is a human fight and not just a female fight. With this, I would like to rest my case. I certainly believe that this motion should fall. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.
Thank you, Nishad, for that wonderful speech. We shall now wait a minute before we move on to the third and the final speaker from the proposition.
Ma'am, if I may request, could you just play an audio cue? Because I'm going to statistics, if that's fine.
All right, okay. You'll get an audio cue.
So please tell me when I need to start.
If you're ready, you may begin now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone present here. Today, I, Shantanu Ghosh, as the third speaker from the proposition, strongly stand with the motion which states that the advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters. Now, coming straight to my rebuttals, the first speaker comes in and says male copywriters are 45% in the industry and female are 55%. First of all, you are completely ignoring the LGBTQ community, but I'm not going to capitalize on that. The opposition, think about it for a moment. There are more women in the industry, and according to my first speaker and according to many statistics, they still get paid less. Even though in blind population, there are more women in the society or the industry, they still get paid less. Why? The first speaker then comes in and talks about two sexist ads which were ghostwritten by women and talks about how people assume that it was men. This actually helps us. This clearly contradicts with, first of all, your last point, which stated that according to statistics, men are more talented. You cannot just say that according to statistics. And it also shows that people have a tendency to assume that if it's a good ad, it must be made by men. And that's what happened in those two cases. This clearly states how our society thinks. Then the first speaker also says that women are greater objected to partiality, but by no means they are unbiased. First of all, we never said that they were unbiased. And just by adding more non-male copywriters, the industry will first of all grow tenfold. And by non-male, I don't only mean female, I mean all the other genders that identify themselves as intersectional. Now, the first speaker also says that why not give customers what they want? Now, you need to understand something, sir. Ironically, two of the examples that the first speaker gave here clearly state that women are equally as talented in the industry as their ads sell a lot as well. There is no talent gap between men and women. And the reasons the customer want male copywriters is not because of their own social mindset or their own bias. It is because of the society. You saw in the earlier two examples that the first speaker of my opponents gave that the ads that were created very nicely and that sold a lot, people just assume that to be made by men. And that's why the customers actually want male people, since they perceive that male have more talent than female. But that's absolutely not the case. And that's why we need more equality in the particular industry. Now, the second speaker comes in and talks about a hypothetical situation in which women are treated over men. I think they've completely gotten wrong one of the points that my first and second speaker clearly stated again and again. Just think about it. We never said that women could be chosen over men just by looking at their gender. We are proclaiming that the non-male copywriting sector has a lot of potential inside it, which is not untapped, which is untapped because of the social patriarchy in our society. We are not saying that you are going to judge people based on their gender and recruit them based on their gender. We are saying that there is still a lot of uncapped potential in the women and LGBTQ sectors of the society, which is not tapped because of this social patriarchy. And that's why we need more people in the industry. Now, the second speaker also says that, if females are being employed more and if you stay in a company for a longer time, you are of course going to get money. Well, just think about the statistics that your first speaker gave for a while. There are more women in the industry and still they are getting paid less. There are more women in the industry and still more men are employed at higher positions. Why is that the case? It is not the talent gap. Now, the second speaker also says that their agenda is that women should be promoted more and more despite of their talent and all that. I repeat this over and over and over and over and over again, that our point is not to have more women forced into the industry. It is to tap the untapped potential of the non-male sectors in the industry. Now, I just like to sum up all my arguments that the copywriting industry is first of all based on the creativity and ingenuity of the person. If we are having more LGBTQ and women people in the industry, then it will reduce the gender partiality in the society, because the copywriting industry actually influences the mind of our society, since they are the people who produce ads, they are the people who produce campaigns, they are the people who produce social material, which reach out to hundreds of millions of people across the globe and set their global narrative across the planet. And that is why the ideology of our society is influenced by them. With this, I'd like to end my speech. Thank you and have a very nice day ahead.
Thank you, Shantanu, for that wonderful close to the side of the proposition. We shall now wait a minute before we move on to the last speaker of our debate, the third speaker of the opposition.
Adjudicator, may I start?
Yes, Ninad, you may.
Thank you, Adjudicator. Greetings to everyone present here, respective Adjudicator, fellow teammates, and my honorable proposition. I, the third speaker of my team, will speak against the motion table before us that the advertising industry needs more non-male copywriters. I envy the passion with which my fellow proposition speaks, but now I shall deem your arguments completely illogical, nonsensical, dumb, and start with my own rebuttals. As per all the three speakers of the proposition, females are paid less than males. Speakers, if let's agree with you for a moment and let's actually agree that females are paid less, then why do we never see it in the news that a female has filed a lawsuit against her employer that she is being paid less? There are laws that exist in India which are providing equal pay. There is the Equal Remuneration Act of 1976 in the Union of India, which states that people should be paid equally regardless of their gender. The first speaker's whole speech revolved around how the advertising industry has more females than males. Now that both of my speakers have already provided you with the statistics, I shall quote them again. In the United States of America, males were 47.5% and 52.5% were females in the advertising industry in the year 2020, as per the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. The second speaker and the third speaker and the first speaker of the proposition team talked about how LGBTQ people face difficulties in social and legal contexts. Second speaker also talked about the Article 15 of the Indian Constitution. Speaker Article 15 nowhere states that discrimination cannot be done on the basis of one's sexuality. It does not state that. It states race, caste, creed, gender, sex, but not sexuality. It does not say sexuality. And even if it did, India does not recognize the other genders other than male, female, and other. It does not recognize the gender neutral and the gender fluid genders. Therefore, it is up to the employer to decide if they want to employ an LGBTQ person or not, and we are no one to question it. If a person feels that their rights are being violated, that they are not being paid equal, that they should be paid equal for what their talent is, then they can go ahead and file a lawsuit on their employer, which they don't. And why they don't? Because they are feminists. They like to play the victim card. That is what every feminist in this world does. Shantanu, the third speaker of the proposition team, talked about equality in the industry by saying that they have untapped potential and talent. Speakers, let me get this straight. The proposition is saying that they should employ more non-males in the industry so that there is equality in the industry. Speaker, already there are more non-males in the industry. I don't get why you people don't understand that fact. And even if there were more males, how would bringing up more non-males in the industry cause equality? Let's talk about liberalism and left-wing politics for a bit. You guys talk about how there should be equality for everyone, regardless of their talent. You guys never stated the fact that talent matters more. You never did that, and I can say that this is credible. You see, there are like thousands of beggars sitting outside my society right now with 8 children in their hands, and on the other hand, there is a same woman of the same age who works in someone's home as a maid. Now, who would I prefer giving more opportunities, that woman or that beggar? Obviously, the woman. I would give opportunities to someone who has more talent. And if you guys don't realize the fact, talent is not paid heed to in this country. There are scholarships and reservation for single girl childs in this country, in colleges and universities. If you did not know that, then you should research a little more. Men are more talented and as per statistics, stated the third speaker. You rebutted my second speaker saying that. We never stated that men are more talented. I don't know where you heard that. And you are basically twisting our speeches to give completely unnecessary and illogical points to the House and wasting the time of the adjudicator. Here, I would like to rest my case and give the conclusion that people should be employed as per their talent, not what their gender or what their sexuality is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ninad, for that close to our debate. That was it. Those were the 6 speakers for our debate. We thank all our viewers for tuning in, and I request all the participants to stay back.